I was falsely accused. I was falsely
Let me ask you directly.
convicted, and I will be exonerated.
All right, fine.
No, you weren't, and no, you won't. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to go over the interview that Dateline's Keith Morrison had with Lori Vallow Daybell, also known as the Doomsday Mom. Now I'm not going to recap the case whatsoever in this video because I did a deep dive on it recently in another video, which I will link in the description for you. But before we dive into this interview, please do me a favor and like this video. And also, if you enjoy true crime, I really hope that you will consider subscribing. So I'm going to be brutally honest. This interview was a massive disappointment in my opinion, for two main reasons. Firstly, I was looking forward to hearing what Lori had to say for herself. And even though I knew it was unlikely, I was sort of hoping I would at least see a little bit of remorse or some clarity when it came to some of her wild beliefs. That didn't happen, of course. And secondly, and probably the most disappointing part, was that this interview was mostly just a recap. I would say it was 95% recap and like 5% interview. And at first, I actually thought I was watching the wrong thing. And then I realized this is it. But I'm not blaming Dateline or Keith Morrison because what we could see from Lori in this interview was that she was rambling most of the time. And I believe they probably could not use most of that. And I really feel sorry for Keith Morrison because I think apart from Blossom that was recently on the Piers Morgan show, Lori Vallow Daybell is probably one of the most difficult individuals to interview on this planet. But still, let's go over the parts that were the most interesting and most insightful. So when she walks in with the chains around her ankles and her handcuffs on, she winks at the camera. And part of me really didn't want to give her that satisfaction. I didn't want the spotlight to be on her once again. But then I also really wanted to hear what she had to say. Another thing I noticed was how haggard she looks. And honestly, it's not about looks, but it stood out to me. Her lies, delusions, and time in prison has taken its toll on her. And Lori was a beautiful woman. Even when police tracked her down in Hawaii just before her arrest, she was beautiful, but now she really looks run down. I heard Colby, her only surviving child, say that he believes it's because she is not getting Botox anymore. But I don't know. Let's just have a look at the first clip of Lori.
You're the most hated mom in America.
I heard that. And we all know what the media does. And they exaggerate everything, and they make stuff up, and they twist things around. So I don't know how it became what it is today. It's amazing to me. And I don't really know. And I'm not exposed to what's going on out there.
Are you misunderstood?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know the media can sensationalize things sometimes and even twist the truth at times. But they really had no need to do that with this case because this case was already so crazy. I mean, I don't think they could have even come up with something as crazy as the truth was in this case. In fact, this could arguably be the most complicated and most unbelievable case out there. And frankly, I don't care if she feels misunderstood. This woman took part in the murder of her own children. And when she says she is misunderstood, I imagine that she's just thinking in her mind that she's just being persecuted, like the Mormons believe their prophet Joseph Smith was. And if she is thinking that, I would just say, no, Lori, you are in this mess because you are a criminal, just like your prophet Joseph Smith was. And if you don't know anything about Joseph Smith, you can look up everything about him online and easily find out who he truly was. Now, in the next clip, Lori talks about meeting Chad Daybell, her fifth husband, who has been sentenced to death, and who, in my opinion, is also the dork of the century.
Do you remember the first meeting with Chad?
Absolutely.
What was that like?
That was amazing.
Tell me about it.
It was amazing because the veil was once again opened and we remembered each other. I recognized him spiritually. He recognized me spiritually, that we had known each other for eternities.
So here she confirms that she actually still believes all of that crap, that they met in past lives and that they knew each other and got married on different planets and all of that mumbo jumbo. And she really looks like she believes it. But part of me still has to wonder, does she force herself to believe all this nonsense? Because if she had to face reality, she would have to come to terms with the fact that she and Chad are evil and that they are responsible for some horrific crimes.
So when Chad came along and said you're a goddess and you've lived for, since the beginning of time, and
Who
so is
said
he.
that Chad said that? Are you saying that Chad said that?
No, I'm.
Did you hear Chad say that to me? You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith, and
But
I'm here
what-
to say you've heard a lot of stuff,
What-
but what I tell you will be the truth.
No, it won't. And anybody who believes a word that comes out of Lori's mouth is just as insane as she is. There are text messages. There are documents. I mean, Chad stupidly documented his cult theology. So we all got to see it. And she knows this because it was revealed in court in her trial before. So she knows this, but she continues to lie. And in the next clip, Keith tries to ask Lori about Charles Vallow, her fourth husband, who her brother Alex Cox shot. And he said it was in self-defense, but we all have our opinions on that. She will actually stand trial for that in approximately 3 weeks' time. And she is representing herself. So that's going to be interesting. But remember, before Charles was killed, he told police, and there's body cam footage of this, and I'll play a clip of that for you now. But he told police that Lori had some sort of psychotic break, and that she believed that his body had been taken over by an entity called Nick or Ned Schneider. And I say Nick or Ned because they switched between the two names in the case because I think they got confused with what they made up.
I've tried to support her as much as I could, but it's gotten really, really bad lately. She's had a break. She says, I'm Nick Schneider. I've taken over Charles's body, and Charles has been killed. I'm going to kill you. You're going to be murdered today or tomorrow.
Well, Keith tries to ask her about that situation, and this is how she responds.
Are you saying he became Ned Schneider?
Well, that's what he told the police, that you told him he was somebody named
Were
Ned
you there
Schneider.
when he told that to the police?
I have a video
Did you
of it.
hear it?
Yes, yes. He's on tape saying that to the police. He was terrified that you were going to kill him.
Really, Keith? Is that where you're going to go with this?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
Poor Keith. Can we just take a moment and feel sorry for him? Once again, Lori, we've seen the body cam footage. And we've seen the text messages between you and your brother Alex Cox discussing Ned and getting rid of him. I just can't with this woman. Next clip.
Does Jesus visit you often here?
Jesus visits all of us.
Uh-huh.
He's a very good friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
He loves everybody. I'm just his favorite.
You're his favorite?
No, I'm just teasing. It was a joke. Can I joke with you, Keith? Can we joke?
Yes, of course you
That's
can.
my bumper sticker. I said, if I ever had a bumper sticker, it would say, Jesus loves you, but I'm his favorite.
This immediately made me think about what her son Colby said about it. And he said he believes that something's visiting her, but it's not Jesus. He believes it's something demonic. And I think he could be right. Now, I don't know what everyone watching this believes, and I'm not here to push my beliefs onto anybody, but I believe that could be true. Another possibility is that she's just making everything up, which is also very likely with Lori.
I hear stuff from my family that's like, oh, somebody does a blog about you every day or something. I'm like, how could they do a blog every day? It's been like 5 years. It's mind-blowing.
Well,
It's mind-blowing.
a lot happened.
Tragedies in my life. So the media loves to take tragedies and turn them into crimes, turn them into horrible things. And I had a lot of tragedies in a row, like a domino effect.
That just infuriates me. Tragedies in my life. Yes, they were tragedies caused by you. She keeps on playing the victim and it irritates me to no end. She takes no accountability for her actions. But listen what she has to say about Tammy Daybell, Chad's deceased wife.
Tammy died of natural causes. Tammy knows the truth. I love her and she loves me. We've been friends for eternities.
No, Lori. Tammy's body was exhumed and she was murdered by her own husband, who is now your husband and possibly your brother too. And we know that you knew about it because once again, there are text messages between you and Chad to prove it. She was not your friend. You were her husband's mistress. And the fact that she has the audacity to even say that, to say that Tammy was her friend after everything that she and Chad did to Tammy, I think it is beyond disrespectful. Now, in the next clip, Keith seems to touch a nerve a little bit because he's asking Lori about the rings that she bought for herself and Chad. Now, just a reminder, she bought those rings on her dead husband's Amazon account, Charles Vallow, and the most significant part of the purchase was that she bought the rings when Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife, was still very much alive.
And you bought the wedding rings.
That is
Before.
an untrue statement. You don't know what you're talking about on that one.
It's online. The purchase is there. And then we see the video of those very rings on your fingers in that ceremony on the
Okay,
beach.
those rings were not initially bought for us. So get your facts straight, Keith,
Who were they
before
bought
you
for?
start making accusations. See, you don't know.
Who were they
You
bought
don't have
for?
any idea because you've heard all these rumors.
You're going to tell me who they were bought for.
Rumor has it,
Who were they bought for, if not you?
Alex and Zulema initially.
Oh, bull. She's claiming that those rings were actually meant for Alex, her brother, and the woman he married, Zulema Pasternes. But the truth is that Lori and Chad got married before Alex and Zulema ever did. And Colby, her son, made a very good point about this. Does everybody just have the exact same ring sizes? I mean, come on.
Trying to give you the truth, and you really don't want to hear it. So you want the truth
Yeah.
that want the truth that you already think you know. I'm the person it happened with. I'm the only one who knows the truth. And I'm trying to give it, but if you don't want to hear it, I will be happy to be quiet.
You see how she keeps on babbling? And that's why I said in the beginning of this video, I don't blame Dateline or Keith for not being able to deliver a full interview with Lori, because I just think it was impossible for them to do that. Because like he said, she keeps on dancing around the question because she's trying to avoid answering the hard questions.
I never spank my children.
Fine.
I don't yell at my children. I only use love and logic with my children, right? I want to build them up. I want to help them because of what I learned in heaven.
Well, did you learn how to murder them in heaven? Because that's what you did. And this next clip just had me screaming at the TV.
Tylee's very smart, very sassy. She knows how to push your buttons. She knows what to say.
Gotcha.
I was able to be very peaceful with Tylee. I was able to be patient with Tylee because I watched her suffer so much.
All right.
Okay. And I knew she was not going to live forever because you know that you can die of pancreatitis anytime you have it.
Of course, yeah.
I'm sorry, but what does that have to do with anything? Like, why is that even relevant? But the part that really gets me is when she mentions Tylee's name. I mean, I feel after what she did, she should not even be allowed to say Tylee and JJ's names. I really just feel like I want to go mad when I hear her say Tylee's name. And where she says, I was patient with Tylee. Really? Just lies, lies, lies.
When I saw Tylee in heaven, before she was born, she knew she was going to come have all these difficult things, and she was still giddy with excitement about coming to Earth and fulfilling her mission.
So her purpose was to come to Earth, to be betrayed by her own mom, who's supposed to love her, and then be killed by her mom. What are you even saying, Lori?
We have Tylee, we have
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
we have Chad's wife, we have the attempted murder on Brandon, we have, there's a lot of
to my
mayhem.
life. There's a lot to my life.
Sure.
If you want to hear the actual explanations, I'm here.
There's a big,
but it
long
doesn't
explanation.
sound like you really want a lot
I
of the
do,
actual
but I just,
explanations.
I don't have all week to hear all these explanations.
Well, it's going to take a long time, so it's probably going to take more than one session.
Uh-huh.
I had to laugh at Keith here because I can see how frustrated he is getting, and I completely understand why. But he's trying to remain calm and kind because he's hoping he can get some real answers out of this woman. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. I don't think Lori answered one single question properly. She danced around every single one of them.
Why did Chad label your children dark and then,
That is all.
call them zombies? You're saying that didn't happen?
Did you hear him say that?
Well, no, but others did.
I didn't.
Oh, I see. But that would be a pattern, that he would label people dark, and then they would either die or somebody would have an attempt on their life.
No,
And
that's the narrative that you've been running.
No, that is what Chad emailed to you. We've seen the email. We have it. Here it is. Tylee is labeled as a 4.1 dark. And this email was sent by Chad Daybell. And the next clip is just shocking.
I'm quoting what the court said about you and Chad, that
Okay,
you
go ahead and quote it.
actually conspired to kill these people.
And
Were you there when...
I was falsely accused. I was falsely
Let me ask you directly.
convicted, and I will be exonerated.
All right, fine. Were you there the night that Tylee died? Were you there the night that JJ died?
Was I
Was
where?
Alex in these places when they died? In the place where they died, were you there?
What place was
Did
that?
you watch?
What place was that?
Did
Do you have any idea?
I'm asking.
Well, I'm the
Doesn't
only
really
one that
matter.
knows. Do you know? You're pretending like you know.
It doesn't matter. I'm not pretending I know. I'm asking you a question. Did you watch your children die?
That's a really sad question.
It's a terrible question, and it's one I hate to have to ask. But, I mean, we've been talking about all of these...
I was not there, as you know. I told Colby.
His response, remember? Did you believe any of that stuff?
Absolutely not.
She may not have physically been there, but she knew that it was going to happen. And I fully believe that. And the part where she says, you know, I told Colby, she's referring to the interview that her only surviving child, Colby, had with her, where she told him that Tylee killed JJ and then ended her own life. Colby, of course, did not believe this. I mean, obviously not. None of us believe that, because the autopsy results showed that Tylee was murdered before JJ was murdered. So what she is claiming is impossible. And the fact that she would even say that about her own daughter, who she murdered or had murdered, is so low. I actually don't have the words to articulate how disgusting that is.
You did not kill a soul.
Absolutely
You didn't
not.
participate in killing a soul.
No.
You didn't conspire to kill a soul.
Correct.
You didn't do any of those things you've been convicted of doing.
Correct.
Chad was convicted and he's on death row now.
I understand that, yeah.
But how,
They have some
how
fascinating
could you
stories.
possibly think that Chad would be exonerated
The
after
same
what
way-
happened?
The same way I will be exonerated. We will both be exonerated in the future.
Because,
I have seen things in the future that Jesus showed me when I was in heaven, and we were not in jail, and we were not in prison, and they were still in the future from now.
She is in La La Land. This is the fantasy that she creates in her mind so that she can cope with the fact that she's going to spend the rest of her life in prison. And Chad, he's on death row. He's not going anywhere. And regardless of what happens in the trial that's coming up in 3 weeks, she's still going to spend the rest of her life in prison, in my opinion. So those were the clips of Lori, and to be honest with you, I basically used most of them. And in the episode, they were shown in bits and pieces in between the recap, which I mentioned was like the main thing. So it was very disappointing. But what I will say is that the main thing that I was thinking about after I watched this was how Colby must be feeling. Lori's only surviving child. I cannot imagine how he must feel looking at his mom, a person that he loves. He must still love her. Somehow it's his mom. But this is the person that murdered his siblings and his stepdad, who he really loved. I really feel so sorry for him. And I think he is doing great with his life considering everything that has happened. So if you are a believer, say a little prayer for him because he has been through a hell of a lot. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for enduring the craziness with me. And please let me know what you think about what she said down below, and I will see you in the next one.